Hello. Okay, so that is a Rivarossi 464 frame. This is where the rear, let me get the point ahead. This is where the rear set of drivers wheels went. I cut the frame, used a belt sander to get it straight. This section here is off of a 462 frame that I happen to have laying around, and I cut that. Now we had to join these two together. We'll get to that in a minute. I grinded all this thing down here. I accidentally cut this section off like a jerk. That's where the screw goes that holds the transmission, so I had to make a bracket to hold that down so it didn't flop up. And that is the section of the 462 frame that I grinded down. I used plumbing solder and a miniature torch. I had to remove all the plastic from the frame, of course the wheels and everything, before soldering it. That's what it looked like after it was soldered. It was actually joined right here behind the third set of drivers. This was the original Bachmann garbage that I'm replacing. Then when I was done getting that, I cut this down and left this piece here. That's where the rear truck from the Bachmann frame, Bachmann chassis, is going to screw right into. So this is the add-on piece right there. Okay, so that's what it looks like together. This is the Bachmann piece. This is the tab that I had to make to hold this down because I accidentally shaved that off. I needed to leave that on there, but I didn't. So now we got 4 sets of drivers, 4 sets of wheels. This is a thin rubber, 1/16 of an inch rubber pad with the square cutout for the Bachmann piece, so this can track, the rear truck can track back and forth and it doesn't hit the motor. The motor is glued to this. If you sand the motor down and glue it, it will hold, it will never come off. This is the extension piece that I had to make to hold the set of wheels in. This is one of the spare Rivarossi screws screwing into that tab that I left, and this is the Bachmann rear truck. I used the Rivarossi front truck, obviously. This is the motor bonded to that. As you can see, there's a big chunk of rubber up there because I actually had to pull the motor back off to drill the holes for the LEDs that I wanted pointing down. This here is a bunch of lead. Needed to be added because the train needs weight. That's just temporary duct tape to test the train. What I ended up doing was melting all that lead and forming one piece that went over the train and actually was shaped like an L, and it went over the transmission. There we go. That's the train together. Done a couple of these like this. The front cylinders had to be shaved down to be shaped more like the factory, the Bachmann one, so they fit in the shell. The shell here, had to use a Dremel and take a little bit of the plastic out so this would all fit in. And the valve gear I had to tweak inward so it wouldn't scrape off the shell. That's the back half. There's a screw right there holding this truck on, and this cap is just bent into shape and then screwed in with the screw. Now let me go back to the other pictures, which is, here we go here. Alright, so this is the paper gauge that I made. These fold in so it lines up on these, the bearing where the axles go. and I was able to add this. This is the second frame that I did. So this would be the fourth one right here, where the mouse is pointing. This is all soldered together. I have to grind all that down. Oh, I had to grind it all down. See how that piece fits in there? Use that as a template because the spacing is absolutely crucial, or you'll have a quartering issue. I don't need to see that. This was one of the drive rods that I cut to shorten, and I soldered it together just to test until I got more drive rods for the 462 or the 464, which I ended up getting. That was the frame all put together. It had to be cleaned up. This was it on the track. On the second one that I did, I used a section of frame that was from a different train. So I had to make the bearing where the axle sit a little bit deeper so all four wheels would sit evenly. I shouldn't have did it that way. I should have used another 462 or a 464, but I didn't want to chop up another frame to do that. So that's how I did it. Anyway, so this valve gear here, what I did was I took this off, and not in this picture, but I ended up taking this off and tweaking this inward and then back out, pulling the width in slightly so it would all fit into the Bachmann shell. So this section here where the original nose was, I cut that off, got to drill a hole, and that will line right up with the Bachmann front screw. Unless you have one of the newer Bachmanns that doesn't have the pancake motor. This is for this whole setup. It will still fit in that train. You'll just have to do different modifications. This is for the Bachmann that had the 3-pole pancake motor and the plastic axle joiners that were notorious for splitting and losing the quartering. So this is a cap. I did this cap. This one here was done a little bit differently than the first one I did. I actually soldered that together, and this holds down the rear axle, and then there's a threaded screw right here where the rear truck a piece of metal will come off this, and the rear truck will get screwed in right here. Or I could probably just drill a hole right there. That'll probably work as well. So this chassis actually worked with that soldered together, but like I said, I did replace it. It was only for the time being. Sorry about the horrible video. I don't know how to get images into a video format, so I'm just filming my screen at work while I'm on lunch. So as you saw on my channel, saw the video of that train actually running. Now I did end up adding a Tsunami Soundtracks DCC decoder and lights and all that other stuff, but this is basically how I got the frame to work. So the spacing between these is absolutely crucial. Like I said, I made a paper one to go between these three, folded in two of them, flipped it over, put it on there, and that allowed me to figure out exactly where this needed to go. Now in this image here, this is up a little bit higher than this one was, so I did have to file that down very little at a time to get the height of the wheels correct, because I did not use the same frame as this. I actually used a piece of frame from I believe it was a Big Boy or a Mallet. I don't remember what I used, but I could have just made it out of raw metal and cut the notch out myself, but I used what I had and it worked very well. So there you have it. Again, sorry about the poor quality of the video. It's best I can do right now. I'm not used to this technical stuff, especially at the age of 53. Have a good day. Thank you for watching.